mention the word discipline, even above a whisper in the law enforcement culture. And the first thought that comes to a peace officer's mindset is a negative process with the sole intent of intimidation, harassment, and retaliation, regardless of what rule or policy the employee was alleged to have violated. The burden is upon you as the first line supervisor or internal affairs investigator to overcome these perceptions with solid facts and circumstances to sustain the integrity of your case. In this tutorial on real criminal justice reform, we will discuss the 3 goals of evidence-based discipline, your guide for showing poor performance the way to success or out the door to new horizons. I am Charles Rambo, a retired lieutenant with over 30 years of real-world law enforcement expertise, certified as a senior instructor by the Georgia Peace Officer Standards and Training Council. I have taught hundreds of law enforcement supervisors, managers, and executives about progressive discipline and labor relations. During my law enforcement career, I also served as a national vice president of the International Brotherhood of Police Officers. As a non-attorney, I represented hundreds of peace officers and internal affairs and pre-deprivation disciplinary hearings, resulting in 90% dismissal or reversal of proposed sanctions. During my career, I have also been interviewed in several news stories concerning progressive discipline, particularly a USA Today article on the impact of due process and the termination of an officer involved in a high-profile use of force incident. Today, as a non-attorney, I remain committed to educating on the standards of progressive discipline that balance the rights and responsibilities of both the employer and employee in pre-deprivation disciplinary hearings. In Tutorial 2, you discovered how CompStat Analytics can transform any agency into a model of accountable policing. In Tutorial 3, you mastered aligning trust and purpose into the performance management cycle, inspiring the workforce to achieve unprecedented results. And now comes the most challenging task of your career as a supervisor, manager, or instructor, and that's correcting human behaviors and performance through progressive discipline. Given today's intense demands for law enforcement accountability and transparency, criminal justice leaders must exercise a balanced approach to carrying out the disciplinary process. In the context of this tutorial on progressive discipline, we are primarily focusing on employees whose scope of employment falls within a civil service system or organized labor contract. An employment relationship where the employer must follow the standard of just cause when remediating performance and behavior or termination of employment. Just cause for discipline, as defined in court decisions, is based upon facts that, 1, are supported by substantial evidence, 2, are reasonably believed by the employer to be accurate, and 3, is not for any arbitrary, capricious, or illegal reason. Even employees who serve at the pleasure of their employer cannot be disciplined for impermissible grounds, such as that which is defined under federal and state law or protected classes under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Unfortunately, in either case of the employment relationship, the objectivity of discipline has been dominated by the command and control model of policing that focuses on forced compliance to correct unacceptable behavior and performance. Further, in the authoritarian mindset of top brass, the administration of discipline is the function of a paper pusher in human resources. Even more embarrassing, regardless of the comedy of errors in the administration of discipline, appointed and elected officials alienate the employee's rights to due process and embrace the evident flaws of documentation to shield themselves and the agency from public scrutiny. No matter how egregious the officer's conduct, too often internal affairs of first-line supervisors miss the mark in a rush to satisfy political policy with incomplete and incompetent findings. Today, an evidence-based approach to the administration of discipline must also overcome the perceptions of the workforce about the legitimate governmental interest in enforcing discipline. When put into the proper and legal context, Progressive discipline is an imperative for the employee to improve behavior and performance before introducing more adverse actions. In pursuing real criminal justice reform, leaders can incorporate 3 goals of evidence-based discipline that will unequivocally hold the workforce accountable at every level for ethics and competence in the performance of law enforcement functions. Goal 1, evidence-based discipline minimizes civil liability. Solid just cause will demonstrate that the employee was provided adequate training, policy, and supervision to remediate the employee's behavior and performance, minimizing claims of negligence in supervision, negligence in retention, or wrongful termination. Goal 2, evidence-based discipline tracks patterns and practices of behavior. This goal, when properly executed, detects repeated signs of unacceptable behaviors with early warning systems. And depending upon the severity of the circumstances, from verbal warnings to plans of actions to referral to EAP, the employee was given reasonable opportunities to improve their behavior before more adverse actions were sanctioned. And the third goal of evidence-based discipline is to show the way to success. Progressive discipline can also be a positive reinforcement for employees who consistently achieve the agency's mission. Rewards should be given as soon as possible to reinforce repeated behaviors. As deposited in the neuron of your new way of thinking in Lesson 1, wherever your criminal justice leadership style is present, everything begins to change. Therefore, you will not be conflicted by attitude or perception. Your focus is on progressive discipline to be in control of the facts and circumstances that show the way to success. This will require engagement with positive and negative reinforcements so that even the most contentious employee on the first read of a proposed disciplinary action understands the imperative to improve is clear and concise. And yes, professional engagement is a must at all times, but it doesn't mean it's going to end in a handshake and smile. Instead, your engagement must inspire a higher premium on what will be done to modify behaviors and produce evidence-based improvement. And finally, but most important, the time invested in the meeting should be something other than debates with the employee's union representative or attorney. Instead, through your objective presentation of just cause, even they will openly agree at the end of the meeting that 100% accountability for transformation begins with their client. This Learn and Lead tutorial on real criminal justice reform has empowered you with thought leadership to align progressive discipline to objective approaches that minimize liability, track patterns and practices of behaviors, and most importantly, keeps the workforce accountable for delivering superior services to the communities that you serve. And behind the scenes is a leader in charge of change just like you, transforming these learning objectives into real-world performances that will exceed your expectations. Please download the free handout for this tutorial at criminaljusticelearning.online. You can also download the digital manual, The Art of Progressive Discipline, on Apple Books, or enroll in the accredited webinar to earn a certificate for 3 hours of Georgia Post credit, or as reciprocated by your state's law enforcement counsel. The digital manual and webinar contain more in-depth insights on employees' rights, steps to preparing solid progressive disciplinary documentation, and much more. Thank you again for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at Instructor Rambo, Facebook at Criminal Justice Learning Online, or Charles Rambo at LinkedIn. And if this insight inspired you, please send us a financial gift of any amount through Cash App at $Instructor Rambo. Please like, subscribe, and share our channel dedicated to empowering a new generation of criminal justice leaders just like you to make an immediate difference with progressive discipline that shows the workforce the way to success.